In the closing days of September 2013, there came troubling reports of a new pandemic spreading across South America. Within just a few months, it had spread to over 2/3 of the human population. Those affected were not killed, however, but mutated into horrific new forms of life and overcome with primitive animalistic instincts. Before the catastrophic collapse of global civilization, the World Health Organization declared these creatures victims of the Cordyceps Brain Infection. To the scattered survivors, they are simply the infected. While the Cordycep infection evokes a natural comparison to the zombies or undead of ancient myth and popular culture, it is in fact the result of a mutation within the otherwise harmless Cordyceps fungus. In humans, this parasitic fungal infection invades and eventually replaces the host's tissue, beginning inside the brain and eventually affecting the entire body. Those infected undergo a predictable 4-stage cycle before the host dies, and releases heavily infectious spores. While these spores are the primary method by which the fungus spreads, bites and scratches from the infected produce similar results. Once the Cordyceps fungus has taken root in the brain, typically within 1 to 2 days after being infected, the victim will display increased irritability and hostility towards others. Eyesight will worsen as the fungus spreads, and the host will become sluggish and passive. The reaction by those in stage 1 to survivors unaffected by the Cordyceps infection is unpredictable. Some will remain docile until directly provoked, while others will become hyper-aggressive without warning, and perhaps involuntarily. These runners, as they are known, appear to retain a semblance of humanity, frequently moaning and, at times, appearing to resist the Cordyceps influence. Within a month after entering stage 1, although sometimes in as little as a week, the host will become covered in fungal and, in rare cases, bioluminescent growth, marking the beginning of stage 2. While these infected retain at least minimal eyesight, they begin to exhibit the development of a type of pseudo-echolocation and frequently make distinct croaking noises. Referred to as stalkers, infected in this stage display some level of animalistic instinct, hiding and attempting to close the distance with uninfected individuals before attacking. For reasons still unknown, stalkers show a preference for water and are frequently found in flooded locations. Roughly a year after infection, the host will enter stage 3. Prolonged exposure and excessive fungal growth has rendered them completely blind, but their echolocation has developed to a point where they are able to navigate entirely by way of a series of intense screeching or clicking noises. These clickers possess heightened strength and speed, while the growth of fungal plates makes them more resilient to both inclement weather and physical attacks. At this stage, any trace of remaining humanity has been eradicated, and clickers will become wild and frenzied once provoked with little regard for self-preservation. Disturbingly, clickers have been observed frantically scratching at the remains of their eyes, as if trying to fix their blindness. In most cases, the host will eventually succumb to the infection during phase 3. When near death, the host will attempt to find a dark, moist area so that the fungus might continue to grow and spread even after the host has died. In time, fungal growth can cover a large area and emit a cloud of highly contagious spores. In rare cases, however, should a host persist for years or even decades, they will enter into the final and most dangerous stage of infection. Completely covered in thick fungal plates and capable of spewing sacs of toxic mycotoxin, these bloaters are sluggish and more predictable than earlier stages, but possess an inhuman level of strength. Most small arms are ineffective against bloaters, and only fire can be reasonably relied on to be effective. Across the ruins of the world, the scattered survivors of the human race have learned to live in open spaces with sufficient airflow. To do otherwise is to invite infection and a truly agonizing form of death. Many pray that the Fireflies, one of the last organized groups still searching for a vaccine, might be successful, but the pragmatists know better. In Bestiary, the Templin Institute investigates the creatures and monsters of alternate worlds. Bestiary is the second of 4 new pilots we're introducing day by day this week. If you'd like to see the Templin Institute investigate graboids, Pennywise, Godzilla, or others, a pledge of just $1 a month to our Patreon will get you a vote when the polls open this Friday.